Good morning, everyone. Last month I was still in Surabaya, but now I'm back in the Netherlands. But I have a souvenir. I'm wearing a souvenir from Jogja. So I'll share my screen. Slideshow. Start from first slide. So today we're going to discuss the East Indies Civil Registry, and it's part of the 10-part program, which is laid out here, and we're at number 4, the East Indies Civil Records. It's a 10-part webinar series every second Saturday of the month, 9 a.m. Pacific, hosted by TIP, produced by IGV, and this is our website, igv.nl, which can also be easily translated into English. And the structure is 30 minutes presentation, 30 minutes Q&A, and 30 minutes overflow. And so the topic of today is the civil registry. And here on the right, you see my personal family tree. Within the center, my great-great-grandmother, Oma Chang, and the dots. So it's kind of a network, a family tree, and the dots are the persons, and the lines are the connections between the persons. And these lines, they represent the generations. And so without these lines, family tree is not a family tree. It's just a collection of persons. So how do we get these connections? The most obvious answer to that question, the last, let's say, 2 centuries or so, is we can get these connections through the civil registry. So the civil registry was introduced in the Netherlands in around the end of 18th century, and it was because of Napoleon Bonaparte. He conquered the Netherlands in the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century. He introduced many modernizations of governance and also the civil registration. So the civil registration records birth, marriages, death, also divorces. And the important part is that on the record, it always records the parents of the main person. So the person who is being born, who dies, the persons who are married, both the parents of the groom and the bride are recorded. Now, for Indonesia and the Dutch East Indies, the situation is different. Napoleon didn't influence Indonesia for too long. It was far away. He was busy with his wars in Europe. He didn't conquer the United States either. I think he got a foothold in Louisiana at a certain point, but he was busy in Europe. So only a couple of years there was real French influence in the Dutch East Indies, and the civil registration was only adopted from 1828 for the Europeans, the Indo-Europeans, or legally equated persons. And only in 1919 for the Chinese, the Arabs, and the foreign Orientals, and also around that time for the indigenous population. Also, many archives got lost during the wars of 1942 to 1949, the Japanese occupation and the War of Independence. And after the independence, these archives were kept in Indonesia, of course, and they're kept locally. They're still kept locally, and they suffer the environmental events that happen in Indonesia, such as earthquakes, floods, termites, etc. So also they're difficult to access because of the language situation. However, This is Samarang, a couple of years ago, 2019, in a government, in a local government office with an official, and he's in front of colonial civil records, civil registry books. And so if you open them, you see the original handwritten entries into the civil registration of, in this case, Samarang. So in many places, they still do exist. However, they're difficult to access. So what I'm going to present you uh, today, four methods to access the East Indies and Indonesian civil records without actually traveling to Indonesia and making contact with the civil registry there and finding the physical book, because this is an expensive and time-consuming activity. So I'm going to give you four alternatives. And all of these alternatives are based on another place where these records are kept, and that is in this place. Maybe some of you recognize this. This is a place in Utah called Granite Mountain, and it is part of the LDS, Latter-day Saints, or Mormon Church. And the Mormons, or the LDS church goers organization, they're interested um, in their foreparents, their forefathers, foremothers, for religious reasons, and for that reason, they have gone all over the world and photograph civil registry and also church records on microfilm in the 1980s, 1990s, and also in Indonesia. So they went through Indonesia and they photographed the civil registry all across Indonesia on microfilm. And these microfilms are kept in this mountain, but also in a library, family history library in Salt Lake City. And each of these drawers contains rolls and rolls and rolls of microfilm, and among those, the East Indies Civil Registry as well. Now, the last couple of years, maybe 10 years, the church has also digitized them, and so they are more easily accessible. However, they are not publicly accessible due to copyright issue, because they belong to the Indonesian government and they're not allowed to publish everything online. However, there's alternatives. So, how to navigate the Indonesian civil records? This is method one. It's the IGV Source Publications, and they are written the recent years predominantly, and also edited predominantly by this person, Leo Jansen. He's a long-standing, or he was a long-standing member. He passed away early this month, so not very long ago. He passed away, but he was the a person that was editing the IGV source publications, and also um, wrote them. And these source publications contain also registries of the civil registration. For example, here his latest work, his last work, is the Civil Registry of Batavia, number 5. So there have been 4 previous volumes, marriage registrations, 1864 to 1870. And they, yes, so this is number 37. So it's here you see other volumes of this series. And it looks like this, for example. It's just transcripts of those photographed registration records. So transcribed by hand and published by our society. And so this is an example of a person who was born, so Maas Marcus Augie Chromo, born in Pekalongan. Um, and then you see um, uh, you see the uh, you see the uh, you see the wife, Johanna Samira, um, and you see also the parents of this person, Maas Marcus, and the age and which place he was born, and the witnesses, and the place they lived, etc., etc. So it's a very important source, but it's an incomplete source because he has not, or we have not transcribed all the records because that's a huge amount. Um, so here's another example. 1846, Thomas Henry Beckman, born in Hulst, and then his profession is stated. Um, his place of residence, Petojo, son of Peter Beckman, and his wife Cornelia Derks, etc., etc. So that's method one. And you can access uh, those transcripts in this website, IGV. It's called Bronnenpublicaties slash. So that's one. Then two, a very, very popular method because it's a database, so it's online, is the website Roosjeroos.nl. And it is a database containing the index of the civil registration for Europeans from the start to approximately 1923. That's the bulk. And then there's also all the other later records that are less complete, also present in this database. And so I give an example here, looking for a person called Louis Fritz Schaul, so Schaul, date of birth 1878. And so there's a search field, I explained this before in one of the other webinars, and then if you click, you'll get the details. You see the child name of the child, the place of registration, or at least it says it's a birth. It's registered at in Batavia, date of birth, and then comments. So that's method two to access. So that's a very easy access, but this access only is the index, and it doesn't give the parents. So there's no information in this website, usually of the parents or of the witnesses or the details of the registration that you find back in the original handwritten civil registration. But you can combine this method, Roosjeroos, with method three, and that's also an IGV initiative by Dennis van der Jaagt. And so he made an index of whatever the LDS Church has photographed in East India, is in the Dutch East Indies. And so this is the website, this is the URL, IGV, Burgerlijke Stand van Nederlands-Indië, LDS. And LDS stands for Latter-day Saints. And so this is a screenshot. I can try to, so this is the website live. And here you see all the places in Indonesia or East Indies where there are records recorded by the LDS Church. So suppose we're looking for this previous person, Louis Fritz Schaul, and we know it's Batavia, we know it's birth, it's 1878. So then you go here to Batavia. Where is Batavia? Batavia here. So you click, and then it gives the microfilm number, what type of records are on the film. So marriages, birth, death. And so now we have to look for a birth, um, um, 1878. So that would be here in this film, this one. And then you click on the film. So this is the microfilm. This is the microfilm number. So it's the important number. And then you want to look for 1878. So that would be this one here. And you see it's a supplementary register. So there are primary registers and supplementary registers. Sometimes you're not sure in which one a person is. There are rules for that. It's incomplete, so it's only May to August, but we're lucky because he was born in July, I think. Yeah, July. So that should be within. And then so then you're in luck. So there is a film that has this information. So this is the complete method tree. So you need an exact date, place, event. Now we did number one. We checked whether a microfilm exists. It does exist. Namely this Batavia, and this is the film, and this is the frame number, the starting of the frame number of this year. And so it's also important that you have a name, you have an exact date, you have a place. The place, the registration place, not always the place of birth. So if the person was born in a small desa, you should not look at the name of the desa of the small town. You have to look at the main place where the civil registration is, and under that place there will be the registration recorded. Okay, so then so you have to note this microfilm number and frame number. So in this case, this is the number, this is the frame. Then, because it's not public, so you cannot from home access this data, you have to go to a LDS Family History Center. And there's so here you have to go to a website called FamilySearch. So that's the website of this LDS church. And there you can look which family history center is close by. And there are different types of family history centers. There's the library in Salt Lake City. If you live close by, that's very, very nice. There's affiliate libraries, and there's family search centers. So you can check. I checked here in California, and there are quite a few of these centers in California, and there are a few affiliated libraries in California. It doesn't seem to be any very close by Los Angeles, but there are a number close to San Francisco. And so then if you're at that point, check our website for details. How to actually find this with the number and the frame number, film number, frame number. We have information, extensive information on our website on the details. So you see, it's quite a journey. But then if you find it, and this is the result of this process. This is the birth record of this person, Louis Fritz Schaal, from 1878. And you see beautiful handwriting. It's very difficult to read, but you can see, at least you can see the signatures of the father, Schaal, and the mother, Turangang, and then the witnesses and the person in charge. If you zoom in, the resolution doesn't get any better than this. So it's still difficult to decipher, but you do see the name here, Louis Fritz. These are the first names of the person who was born. And then if you look at the original here at the top, you can see, if you look closely, you can see Levi Schal, that's the father, and the mother is Turangan. And you see the witnesses, etc. So it's quite valuable to have this original, because you have to, for one, you have the original signatures of these of the parents on record, and often it's the only sign, the only written sign that is left from a person. Okay, there is okay. Now here method 4, and it's a bit of a revolution. So it's on the same site, FamilySearch.org. And a couple of months ago, suddenly a website, a web page appeared, Indonesia, civil registration, 1806 to 1997. And it's almost too good to be true. And it is too good to be true, because the civil registration didn't start until 1828. And it's so that there might be a fragment of something earlier, and it's very incomplete. But what is behind this website is a machine learned recognition of handwriting. So they have they have used artificial intelligence to recognize the handwriting and the contents of all of these digitized records in Indonesia, and made an index of it. And that is behind this web page. So I'll give you a few examples. One example comes from the Indo Project. So there was a web page where the IGV was introduced, and there was one comment from a person named Van Darrell, and he says, hello everyone. I'm currently looking for information regarding my great grandfather Darius Wolf and his paternal lineage. I'm stuck on a brick wall and would highly appreciate any help or leads, blah blah. And name Darius Wolf, spouse Josephine Christina Dutour. And so if you use this new website, so you're stuck on a brick wall. If you use it and you take as a last name Wolf, then surprise, surprise, the first hit is that person. So it's Dari Wolf. It's a marriage registration of the 8th of June, 1948. So this is after the Second World War, so in between, so during the War of Independence. And it says a spouse, Josephine Christine de Dutour. So therefore we know it is the right person. And it gives the parents, Lodewijk, Marinus, Wolf, and Satma. And Satma looks like an Indonesian name, Indonesian wife. Birth 1925. And then, so this is a record that in another way it would have been very difficult to find, probably impossible to find. But there is So this is getting through a brick wall in 1 millisecond. What else is in this database? I'm using now a very common Indonesian name, Go, Chinese name, Go, and let's just see how many hits we get. And we get quite a lot of results, 2,595 results, of all people with the family name Go. And you see it's sometimes death registration 1940, death registration 1986, so that's quite recent. Death registration December 1943, so in the Japanese occupation time, or in the colonial area. Death registration 20 February 1934. So there is quite a lot of information, and not only for Europeans, but also for Chinese population. There's a lot present. There's also a lot not present, and maybe you can imagine that this handwriting that I showed you before of schaal would be very difficult for artificial intelligence to pick up. And indeed, if you try schaal using this method, it doesn't come up. So you get 8 results. But the first hit is not schaal, but is schaaltje. Schaaltje. So this means that the program not only takes the exact name, but also gives variations of the name as a hit. All right, so that's method 4. And that's it. So thank you very much for your attention. It's it's usually fruitful resource, the civil records, and some of them are, especially this last method, is quite accessible, and also Roosjeroos is quite accessible. So thank you for attention.